Hey guys, imagine this. You're 20, strapped into a metal tube with no windows, packed tighter than a coffin. Your parachute's digging into your ribs, your boots are too big, your hands won't stop shaking. And below you, occupied France. Somewhere in that black void, the enemy is waiting, guns cocked, dogs barking, triggers half pulled. This isn't a movie. This is June 5th, 1944, the night before D-Day, and you're about to jump out of a plane into the scariest 24 hours of your life. No backup, no clear landing zone, no idea where the rest of your unit will be when your boots hit the ground, if you even survive the fall. This isn't just war. This is a coin toss with death. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, give it a like and subscribe. It helps us keep making them. Now close your eyes. You're not in your room anymore. You're 800 feet above enemy territory. The red light just turned green, and someone's yelling, "Go!" The door opens, not slowly, not gently, just ripped. A blast of cold air punches you in the chest like a ghost that hates paratroopers. It howls through the fuselage, whipping straps and buckles and nerves. You grip the static line like it's a lifeline. It isn't. You're 20 years old and about to jump into blackness. Inside the plane, it's cramped, loud, hot breath and cold sweat. Everyone's packed in shoulder to shoulder, boots thudding with the constant turbulence. You can't hear anything except the engine's growl and your own pulse screaming in your ears. Red light overhead, still red. You wait. You pray. Or at least you think about praying, but the words don't come. Your stomach's full of metal and bad coffee. Your parachute harness digs into your thighs. Your rifle's strapped across your chest like it might block a bullet. It won't. You know it won't. But you wear it anyway. Ritual helps. The sergeant yells something. You don't hear it. You just see his hand, clenched fist to open palm, the signal. 1 minute. That's it. 60 seconds until you jump out of a perfectly good airplane into German-held territory with nothing but hope and a Hershey bar in your pocket. You take a deep breath. Bad idea. It smells like oil, sweat, vomit and fear. The guy next to you already lost his breakfast into his helmet liner. Again, you give him space, not judgment. You'll probably do the same once the chute opens, if it opens. Someone says, "See you on the ground." Someone else replies, "If we're lucky." And you say nothing. You're not here to talk. You're here to fall. The light turns green. No time for hesitation. The first guy goes, then the second, then the third, then it's you. You take 1 step forward. 2. The wind hits you like a truck full of knives, then the floor disappears. And you're falling. Not fast, not yet, just gone. The plane roars above you, fading like a closing door. The silence that follows isn't peace, it's weight. You tumble once, twice. You're upside down, the static line jerks your harness, hard, and then snap. The chute deploys. You stop falling, mostly. Now you're just drifting slower, but still down. You open your eyes. Black. Just black. No moon, no lights, no sound but your own panting breath and the soft rustle of canvas overhead. You pull your straps. Adjust. Try not to vomit. You're supposed to land in a field. But fields are relative. You could be anywhere. A forest, a river, a rooftop, a minefield. There's no map for this kind of drop. Just a general direction and the vague hope that the wind's on your side. You see flickers below. Tracers. Small arms fire. Muzzle flashes like angry fireflies. Someone's shooting at the sky. You are the sky. Bullets hiss past you like bees with teeth. You can't dodge. You can't hide. You just pray they hit someone else. You hear a scream, then nothing. Then another scream, cut short. You pull your straps again. Doesn't help. You're spinning now, slowly, The horizon tips sideways. You don't know which way is down anymore. Then you see it. The ground. Fast. Too fast. No time to prep your landing, no time to bend your knees. You hit hard. Bone to earth. Everything goes white for a second, then dark again. Then you're on your back in the middle of God knows where, dazed, winded, tasting dirt. You're alive, but barely. Your gear's a mess. Your legs feel like rubber. Your ribs ache. You sit up, slowly. Every joint protests. You unclasp the chute. It falls away like wet cloth. You roll over, grip your rifle and scan the dark. Nothing but shapes. Trees, maybe. Or buildings, or enemies. You listen. The sky still buzzes, more planes dropping more paratroopers. Some too low, some too fast, some never open. You hear them hit. Thuds in the dark. Some moan, some don't. Welcome to Normandy. You're not on the beach. You're not in a unit. You're not even sure you're on the map anymore. You're just a lone figure, crouched in the enemy's backyard, trying to remember which direction is forward. You check your gear. Rifle. Dirty but functional. Ammunition. Half full. Rations. Crushed. Map. Gone. You have a compass. And a single instruction burned into your memory. Link up at the church. Where's the church? No idea. So you move. Quiet. Slow. Rifle up. Eyes wide. Every shadow might be a soldier. Every noise might be a trap. You were trained for this, but training doesn't prepare you for being alone. Truly, bone deep alone. You whisper to yourself, one step at a time, and step, and listen, and wait. Because somewhere out there in the next tree line, behind the next hill, someone is waiting to kill you. And the worst part? They know where they are. You don't. The night's alive. Not with crickets, not with wind, but with movement, breath. The kind of silence that isn't silent, it's waiting turn. You crouch in a ditch, breathing through your teeth, heart thudding like someone's knocking from the inside. Hard. You don't know where you are. You dropped somewhere west of the rendezvous, or east, or maybe not even in Normandy at all. Could be Belgium for all you know. The stars are out dim, scattered, useless. The clouds keep creeping back, swallowing the sky whole. Your eyes haven't adjusted yet. Everything's shapes, shadows, hints of something that could be a bush or a helmet. You freeze. Listen. A crack. Not a gunshot, just a branch, but it's close. You raise your rifle, slow, deliberate. The barrel shakes. Your arms are still jelly from the landing. Your palms are slick sweat, maybe blood. Hard to tell in the dark. Then, another noise. Rustle. Breath. Movement. 10 feet away. You whisper, sharp and quiet. Flash. Silence. Your throat goes dry. You swallow. You whisper again, louder. Flash. Still nothing. Then a whisper. Thunder. You collapse into yourself. Leaf and tension coil together like wire. A shadow steps out of the tree line, rifle raised, breath shallow. It's another paratrooper, maybe? You don't know him, doesn't matter. He doesn't ask your name, he just nods. That's the contract out here. Don't shoot me and I won't shoot you. You signal, move. He follows. The ground beneath your boots is soft and loud, wet leaves, broken twigs, every step a gamble. You try to avoid open spaces, stick to the hedgerows. The French call them bocage, thick walls of brush and stone that feel like they were designed to trap Americans. You keep your head low, eyes higher, and then you see it. A flicker in the distance. A cigarette? A lantern? Maybe a muzzle flash. It's there, then gone. You drop flat. Your buddy called him Shadow because names don't matter right now does the same. You both lie in the dirt like ghosts trying to disappear. And then, German voices. Sharp, fast, muffled by the dark. You don't understand the words. but the tone. It's the universal sound of soldiers who know someone's nearby. You grip your rifle tighter. They're close. 30 feet 20? Too close. Shadow taps your arm, points left. A stone wall. Low. Cracked. Cover. You crawl. Slow. Inch by inch. Every finger press is measured. Every breath is rationed. You hear a click behind you. Your brain short circuits. Rifle safety? Bayonet? Mine? You freeze. The click happens again. Boot on gravel. They're right behind you. You turn slowly. A German soldier, maybe 19, maybe younger, steps through the hedge backlit by moonlight. He sees you, and time stops. You're not two people, you're two instincts. He raises his rifle. You fire first. One shot. Loud. Close. Too close. He folds. Hits the ground like wet laundry. Doesn't scream. The other voices shout. Boots move. You and Shadow bolt behind the stone wall just as bullets slice through the hedge you were lying under. Crack. 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 You duck. Stone chips fly past your cheek. You fire twice. Miss both. Shadow shouts something, points right. You run. Not away. Around. You circle the hedge like a wolf with a bad limp, dodging roots, ducking branches. You see a flash of movement, muzzle fire. Shadow throws something. Thump. Grenade. The blast is small, sharp, contained. You hear one German yell, then nothing. Then more yelling. Reinforcements. You don't wait to find out. You and Shadow push through the brush, deeper into the dark. The forest gets thicker. The air smells like moss and gunpowder. You run until your lungs burn, until your legs wobble, until your mind stops painting every leaf as a sniper. Finally you stop. Both of you drop behind a fallen log, gasping, mute. You count your bullets. 14 left. You think about the kid you shot, his face. You try to forget it. You fail. Shadow breaks the silence. Where's your unit? You shrug. He nods. Same. You sit in that log's shadow for what feels like an hour. Could be 10 minutes, could be a day. You don't know anymore. You wipe your hands on your pants, the blood comes off your knuckles but not your memory. Welcome to enemy territory. No backup, no landmarks, no guarantee of survival. Just you, one stranger, and the entire German army somewhere in the trees. You whisper, "We have to keep moving." Shadow nods. You both stand. You don't know where you're going. Only that forward is the only direction left. The first thing you learn about being lost is that it doesn't happen all at once. It's not a moment, it's a slow bleed. You think you know where you are. You think the river is east, that the ridge you passed was the one on the map, that the barn in the distance is probably the one in the briefing. But probably is a death sentence out here. You're not just lost, you're behind enemy lines with the zero bearings and maybe half a plan if that. The night is still alive, not with sound, but with the kind of pressure you feel in your chest, like the trees are watching, like the dirt knows you don't belong here. Shadow your silent companion since the drop point's ahead. His hand quivers for a split second. Nerves, or cold, or maybe the weight of uncertainty pressing down on both of you. You nod, because that's all you can do. Words are too loud, and truthfully, you're out of them. You follow a narrow path through a patch of dense brush. Every branch scrapes your uniform. Every step is a gamble between stealth and speed. Move too fast and you'll step on something you shouldn't. Move too slow and something might step on you. You pass a broken fence. Rotting wood. Probably French farmland before the war turned it into a graveyard waiting to happen. A helmet hangs from one post. German. Old blood on the chin strap. You both crouch. Shadow gestures. Wait. You hear it. Boots. Soft. Careful. Deliberate. Not American. You both slide lower into the grass. The footsteps grow louder. 3 men, maybe 4, talking low, confident. They're not lost. You are. They pass within 20 feet. You hold your breath. Your finger rests against the trigger guard. One twitch away from starting something you can't finish. But they keep moving. No shots, no noise, just relief. The kind that tastes like rust and burns going down. You wait another minute before standing. Every second feels like a dare. When you do stand, your back screams. You ignore it. The weight of your gear presses down harder now, wet from crawling, heavier than it should be. Your canteen sloshes with half a swallow of water. You sip it like it's holy. And then you move again. It's hours before you find the wreck. A C-47 crashed hard. Trees snapped like matchsticks. Fire long gone, but the smell still fresh metal, oil, blood, bodies. Some still strapped in, some not. You count 7. None alive. One still wears his chute. Didn't jump in time. His head's at the wrong angle. His face looks peaceful. You envy him for that. Shadow kneels beside one of the bodies. A captain, ripped map case on his chest. Inside, a field map, blurred by rain but readable. You both study it under the glow of a broken flashlight lens. You're somewhere southwest of Sainte-Mère-Église. Maybe 10 clicks, maybe more. You're supposed to be north. You're not. Church is east, Shadow whispers. His voice sounds like a different person's. You nod, again. East it is. You move. The terrain shifts. What was once flat turns marshy. Mud clings to your boots like it wants to keep you. The trees thin out and open into a wide field dotted with hay bales and hope. Then crack. Sniper. You hit the ground so hard your helmet pops off. You crawl toward a hay bale, dragging your rifle by the sling. Shadow's already there, eyes wide, scanning. Did you see it? You hiss. He shakes his head. Points to the tree line across the field, maybe 200 meters. You peek. Another crack. The hay explodes beside your face. Straw and dirt fly up in your eyes. You go blind for a second. You don't scream. You just breathe faster. Flank, Shadow mouths. You nod. He goes left. You go right. You move low, fast. Legs pumping, blood roaring, the mud sucks at your feet with every step. You fall once, get up fast, no time for weakness. Halfway across, the gun cracks again. Not at you. Shadow fired first. You sprint the last 20 meters, slide behind a log, raise your rifle, scan. Nothing. You stay there, listening. A groan. There, behind a tree. Movement. You raise your rifle and squeeze. One shot. A thud. Silence. You wait. Still nothing. Then Shadow appears, panting, nodding. Got him. You both collapse behind the log, breathless, shaking. Your hands don't stop trembling. Keep moving, Shadow says. No celebration, just necessity. You pass a stream. Wash your face. Cold water wakes up the fear you'd almost buried. Shadow refills his canteen, offers it to you. You drink. Too fast, almost choke. You keep going. The sky begins to fade into blue. Not sunrise, just the idea of it. A slow bleed of light. No warmth, no safety. Just more visibility and more places to die. You reach a clearing, and you see it. An abandoned cart. 2 bodies slumped beside it. One German, one American. Both look like they died trying to kill each other. You check the American. No ID tags, chest blown open, ration tin beside him, still sealed. You take it. Guilt flickers, then dies. You move. Every step now feels like it's been borrowed from a future you might not live to see. Then you spot it. A steeple. Peeking over the ridge. Could be the church. Could be something worse. You kneel. Shadow kneels beside you. He pulls out the map again, points. That's the objective. That's where your unit's supposed to be, or what's left of it. It's less than a mile away. But it feels like 10. Because between you and it, more trees, more shadows, more war. You sigh. Check your rifle. Then whisper, "Let's finish getting lost." And you stand. You're not sure what time it is anymore. Your watch broke when you hit the ground. The face is cracked, the hands frozen at 0:14. You stare at it for a second, then strap it back on anyway. Doesn't matter that it's useless. It's still yours. And somehow, yours still matters out here. The rifle is heavy in your hands, not from weight, from what it represents. Life, death, hope, mistakes. All of them tied to a bolt-action lifeline and 80-year-old wood. You're not even sure it's clean. You fired it twice, maybe 3 times, reloaded once. You keep checking the chamber like it might whisper something comforting. It doesn't. Shadow is a few feet ahead, crouched behind a bush. He raises a hand, 2 fingers, eyes forward. You follow his gaze. There's movement up the path. Slow, deliberate, human-shaped. You lower yourself into the mud and raise your rifle. You whisper, "Friend or foe?" No response. You hear rustling. Someone's muttering. English. Not much, but enough. You risk a whisper. Flash. This time an answer. Thunder. Another figure appears from the brush, taller than you, helmet askew, face streaked with mud. He's holding a Thompson. Barely. "Lieutenant," he says, tapping his chest. No insignia, no map, no authority in his voice, just survival. You nod. Not because you believe him, because you need to. Trust is a currency out here, and you're all broke. The 3 of you huddle by a crumbling wall. Lieutenant shows a hand-drawn map scrawled in pencil in desperation. The church is a mile northeast, but the path, that's the problem. Enemy patrols, sniper nests, a road they've got locked down tighter than your jaw. Best bet's through the orchard, he says. Low terrain, visibility sucks, but less open ground. You don't argue. You just move. You reach the orchard as dawn finally arrives, not with colour, but with grey. Everything's wet, cold, heavy. The apples on the trees are rotting, some hang loose, some are on the ground, already devoured by bugs. You step carefully, mud squelches, boots sink, your stomach growls. You try not to think about food. Shadow tosses you a ration bar. You catch it, tear it open, bite. It's hard, bitter. Tastes like cardboard soaked in metal. You chew anyway, because chewing keeps your teeth from chattering. A rustle. You freeze. Movement 6 o'clock. You turn, slow, smooth. Another American. Or so you think. He's tall, silent, rifle low, looks just like you, mud-caked, wide-eyed. You give the signal, flat hand to fist. He doesn't respond. You tense. Raise your rifle halfway. Then he holds up both hands. "Wrong drop zone," he mutters, looking for able company. You don't tell him they're probably dead. You just nod. He joins your little squad without ceremony. Now you're 4. You push through the orchard, step by step, checking every tree like it might fire back. The sun starts to rise behind you, hidden behind a curtain of smoke. And that's when you hear it. Music. Faint. Distant. A radio. You follow the sound. There's a farmhouse, stone walls, broken shutters, windows like hollow eyes. Inside, a German soldier, alone, dead. Slumped over a shortwave radio playing something classical. Mozart, maybe. You shut it off. Too loud, too real. You check the body, nothing useful, just blood and burned paper. Then you keep moving. The road is just ahead. Lieutenant peeks through a hedge, squints and curses. 2 Germans, one manning a light machine gun, the other with binoculars. They're watching the road like it owes them something. "We can't go around," he mutters. "You know what that means?" You volunteer. Shadow follows. You flank left, through the ditch, around the hedges, staying low, breathing shallow. At 15 meters, you split. Shadow creeps left. You crawl right. You signal. He nods. He rises. Fires. The lookout jerks. Drops. You rise. Fire. Your shot hits the machine gunner in the chest. He falls backward, legs kicking. Then it's quiet. Too quiet. You wait. 1 minute, 2. No return fire. Lieutenant joins you, eyes scanning, jaw tight. "We move now." And you do. The road is littered with debris. Broken crates, spent casings. One blown out truck still smoking from something that happened hours ago. You pass it fast. No loitering, the walls have eyes. Up ahead, the steeple reappears. Tall, crooked, beautiful in the way things are when you've seen nothing but mud and corpses for 12 hours. The church. Finally. You sprint the last stretch, not full speed too loud, but fast enough that your legs scream in protest. You reach the door, push it open. Inside silence. And then movement. Rifles raise. Then pause. Then lower. Americans. 5 of them. Uniforms dirty. Eyes hollow. You made it. Or so you think. Because the lieutenant says, "We hold here for the next wave." And your stomach drops. You're not done. You're just halfway. You slide down against a stone wall, remove your helmet, run your fingers through your sweat-soaked hair. Your hands are shaking. Your heart won't slow down. Shadow sits beside you, says nothing. Neither do you. Because words don't help now. Only the rifle does, and the prayer in your head that says, "Just make it 1 more hour." Then another. Then another. Until there are no more left. You try not to think about it, but you do. Every time your boots stop moving, every time the gunfire dies down, every time your heartbeat isn't the loudest thing in the room, you see his face. The first one. The German you shot in the orchard, or maybe near the ditch, doesn't matter where, just that it happened. You didn't aim. You reacted. He raised his rifle. You pulled the trigger. And now he's gone. And you're not. That's the trade. No ceremony, no speech, just cause and effect, action and absence. You sit on the church floor, back to the wall, rifle across your lap. The others are sleeping, or pretending to, even Shadow. His head leans against a busted pillar, breath slow even. You can't sleep. You see too much when your eyes close. The guy's uniform wasn't clean, that's what stuck out. It wasn't the swastika or the mud or the blood. It was the dirtiness of it. Like he'd been crawling too, like maybe he was scared just like you. You tell yourself it was justified. He would have shot you, maybe others too. But that doesn't help, not really, because his eyes didn't look angry or even surprised. They looked tired. That's what guts you. That's what's keeping you awake while everyone else catches 5 minutes of fake peace. He looked tired. You rub your hands together. They still feel cold, like the trigger's still under your finger. The church groans in the wind. A broken stained glass window lets in a sliver of grey light. Dust dances in the beam. It should feel sacred. It doesn't. Someone rolls over and mutters in their sleep. You close your eyes, try again, and there he is, falling, still falling. You wake yourself before the dream finishes. Again, Lieutenant stirs near the altar. He's looking at a map, but you can tell his brain's elsewhere. Maybe on his own first kill, maybe he's counting, maybe he's numb, maybe you'll get there too. The hours drag. Outside, distant gunfire pops like static, sporadic, aimless. Most of the fighting has moved east. For now. Inside, time dies slowly. You wipe your rifle clean again. You check your ammo. Again. You stretch your neck. Again. Every ritual is a rope you cling to in the flood. Then the bell rings. Not loud, just a single clang like the wind bumped it. Everyone tenses. Rifles raise, eyes open, no words. You peek out the door, empty road, trees swaying, no footsteps. Could have been wind, could have been a signal, could have been nothing. But now you're up again, awake, shivering in your bones even though the wind's died down. Lieutenant gives the order to rotate watches. You take first shift. Outside. Alone. The graveyard behind the church is overgrown. Headstones cracked. Moss covering names that once mattered. You sit on a chunk of stone that used to belong to someone. You rest your rifle across your knees and try not to think. But again you do. You try to reimagine the man you shot as a villain. Maybe he tortured people. Maybe he volunteered for this war. Maybe he liked it. But deep down you know that's wishful thinking, that's just you trying to build a wall between him and you. Because if he was just a scared kid in a uniform, then what does that make you? You close your eyes. Big mistake. This time the dream doesn't wait. You're back in the orchard. The shot's fired. He drops, but he doesn't die. He speaks. You can't understand the words, but you feel them. And you wake up again. You look at your hands. They're shaking. You rub them on your pants, still shaking. You put them together, clasp them, like a prayer. Is not a prayer. It's just something to do. Shadow joins you midway through the shift, sits beside you, silent. After a while he says, "You okay?" You nod. Lie. He doesn't press, just says, "First one's the hardest." You say nothing. He continues, "My first? Sicily. Guy threw a grenade, missed me. I shot him, twice." You glance at him. He's not bragging, he's not confessing, he's just remembering out loud. I saw him 2 days later, in my head, eating lunch, smoking, didn't look angry, just disappointed. You say, "He still show up?" "Not lately," he says, then adds, "But he will." You both sit there, staring out into the night, listening. No movement, no signs of life. Just wind in the trees and the weight of your own memory. Eventually you whisper, "Does it ever stop hurting?" Shadow shrugs. "It stops surprising you, that's something." You nod, slowly, because that sounds like the truth. After a while he stands and stretches. "Wake me if they come." "Will do." He heads inside. You stay. You look up at the stars. They don't look heroic. They look indifferent. Cold little lights watching a planet that doesn't know how to stop fighting. You whisper something. Not a prayer, not quite. More like a promise. You don't know what you're promising, only that it matters. Maybe to him, maybe to yourself. Then you grip your rifle tighter. Because tomorrow you'll need it again. And maybe, just maybe, you'll shoot second, not first. The forest doesn't feel like nature anymore. It feels like a trap. Each tree you pass might be hiding someone. Every root might trip you into a bullet. Even the birds feel staged, like someone's pressing play on a record labelled normal. But there's nothing normal about this place. You left the church at dawn. No goodbyes, no orders, just a nod from the lieutenant and a quiet word. Keep east. Link with any recon, radio silence. So you did. Now it's just you and Shadow again, walking through a maze of green and grey. The fog clings to the ground like it's afraid to rise. Sunlight barely filters through the canopy. The smell is wet bark, rotting leaves, and smoke from somewhere you don't want to be. You step carefully, Not because of noise, because you don't want to disturb whatever's watching. Because something is watching. You feel it. No eyes, no proof, just instinct. The sixth sense that soldiers get after enough time crawling through someone else's country. Shadow gestures. You both kneel by a fallen tree. He points ahead. A boot print. Fresh. Too fresh. Pressed into the mud at a strange angle, like whoever made it was running, or limping. Not one of yours. Probably not one of theirs either. Someone lost, or someone hunting. You move forward slower now, rifle up, eyes scanning every branch, every shadow. And there are a lot of shadows. Some of them even breathe. At one point you swear you hear someone whisper. You freeze. You motion to Shadow. He freezes too. You both wait. The forest goes silent. Too silent. You hear your own breathing. It's too loud. Then movement. Not near, not far. A figure. Between two trees. Just a flicker. But enough. You drop low. Bring your sights up. Nothing. Gone. You scan again. Slowly. Steady hands. But sweat trickles down your temple like a warning. Shadow whispers. Did you see it? You nod. Then more movement left this time. A rustle. Then footsteps. Light. Careful. You flank around, splitting the trees. Every step is measured. Every breath is rationed. The figure reappears. Definitely human. Thin. Cloaked. Moving fast. Shadow moves right. You go left. You encircle. Closer. 20 yards. Then 10. Then they stumble. You raise your rifle. And they raise their hands. Not a soldier. A woman. French. Barefoot. Filthy. Eyes wide with the kind of fear that doesn't fade after the shooting stops. You lower your rifle. Barely. She whispers fast. In French you barely understand. Soldats, là-bas, dans la forêt, Allemands. Shadow steps forward. She says Germans, nearby. You nod, ask her how many. She holds up 3 fingers, then 5, then shrugs. She doesn't know, she's just running. You look around. You're in a choke point. One path, surrounded by high terrain and trees thick enough to hide a platoon. You grab her arm, not rough, not soft, and lead her behind the fallen tree. She obeys, silent now. Shadow checks the ridge. Then you hear them. Boots. Many. Marching but not together. Spread. Sloppy. They don't know you're here. Yet. You drop into prone position, eyes up through your sights. 3 Germans come into view, then 2 more, 5 total. They're not alert, not expecting resistance, just passing through. You breathe slow, steady. Not yet, not yet. Then one of them stops, looks directly at your tree, not at you. At her, the woman behind it. She moved. You hear her breathe in, a gasp. Too loud. The German raises his rifle, and you fire. 1 shot, neck. He drops. The rest scatter. Shadow fires twice. 2 fall. The other 2 dive for cover, yelling in German. You shift left, behind another tree. The woman's gone, crawled out of sight. You fire again, miss. They return fire. 1 bullet slams into the tree beside your face. Bark explodes. You drop flat, heart pounding. Shadow's already moving, flanking right. You hear him fire. Then silence. Then his voice. Clear. You rise. Bodies down. No movement. You check your corners anyway. Always check your corners. You find the woman 10 feet away, hiding behind a stump. She looks at the bodies. Then at you. Then she nods. Not in thanks. In understanding. You nod back. Then she's gone. Deeper into the woods. disappearing between trees like a ghost. You don't try to stop her. She's seen enough soldiers. You regroup with Shadow. He's breathing heavy, reloading. You good? He asks. You nod. Not because you are. Because you're still standing. Because your rifle still works. Because the forest is still alive. And you're not buried in it yet. As you start moving again, you look up. Light flickers through the leaves like a strobe. You wonder how many men have died under this canopy in the past 24 hours. You hear birds. Then silence. Then birds again. You and Shadow freeze. He whispers, "That was a pattern." You nod. Birds don't start and stop like that unless someone tells them to. More Germans. Or maybe someone worse, someone good. You step forward. And the forest breathes. You hear the shot before you see the body. It cracks through the woods like lightning in a library. Sharp, sudden, loud enough to wake the dead or make you wish you hadn't lived. You hit the dirt. So does Shadow. You don't speak. You just move. Low crawl, elbows in, rifle forward, eyes scanning the trees like they're lying to you. There's a man ahead. He's on his back, arms sprawled, blood soaking through his uniform in a widening pool, helmet knocked clean off. You reach him. He's American. What's left of his face is still warm. Shadow checks his pockets, finds tags. They don't ring a bell. 101st, different platoon. Then you see the angle of the wound, close range, upward, like he was shot by someone below or someone behind. Your stomach clenches. You both freeze when you hear a voice. English. Sloppy. Panicked. Jesus, Jesus Christ, I thought you were... Another paratrooper stumbles through the brush. Rifle low, face pale, knees shaking. You shot him, Shadow says, low and cold. I didn't mean to. He came out of nowhere. He didn't call flash, I thought. You raise your rifle. Not at him, just up. Just ready. He sees the judgment in your eyes. And folds. He drops to his knees and mutters something about how dark it was. How quick it happened. How he just wanted to be sure. Sure doesn't bring people back. You ask if there are more. He nods. Points behind him. 4 of us, lost, split up. You tell him to call them. He doesn't want to. You tell him again. Louder. He cups his hands and shouts, "Flash!" And the woods answer, "Thunder." Then again, flash. Thunder. 2 more men appear. Cautious, weapons raised, tired. They see the body. They see the man who shot him. They don't speak. None of you do. Because what's there to say? That friendly fire is just part of the plan. That mistakes happen? That war doesn't come with a user manual? You look at Shadow. He shakes his head once. Not at you. At all of this. One of the new guys, a medic by the Red Cross on his sleeve, kneels by the body. Too late for help. But he closes the dead man's eyes anyway. Straightens his collar, smooths out his jacket like that'll fix the hole in his chest. You ask where they're headed. East, one says, trying to link with Major Gavin's line. You tell them to walk with you, safety in numbers. The one who fired the shot stays behind for a moment, staring at the body. You don't ask what he's thinking, because maybe you already know. You start moving again. 7 of you now, a little squad of ghosts. You spread out loose line. Every few yards, one guy watches left, another right. One watches the trees. One watches the guy who pulled the trigger. You keep marching. The wood's thin, the ground dries. You see smoke in the distance, black and low. Could be a cook fire, could be something worse. You halt. Shadow gestures. Stay low. He and the medic crawl ahead to scout. You wait. The man who shot the friendly sits beside you. He doesn't talk, but his hands won't stop moving. Twitching, rubbing, fidgeting with a button that's barely hanging on. "I thought he was a German," he says eventually. You don't answer. "There was a sound. I thought he was a... He came out fast. Didn't say anything." You still don't answer. Because the truth is, you've thought about pulling the trigger early before too. You've almost done it. More than once. The only difference? Luck. That's it. He got unlucky. And so did the dead man. Shadow and the medic come back. Farmhouse ahead. Abandoned. Maybe. Smoke from the chimney. But no movement. Could be Germans. Could be nothing. You move in. Cautious. 3 men circle wide. You, Shadow, and the shooter go straight. You hit the door fast, 1 kick, 1 sweep. Empty. But it was used recently. Bed still warm. Food scraps on the table. Footprints in the dirt outside. They left minutes ago. Maybe watching you now, you search fast. Ammo, a map, a journal in French you can't read. Shadow pockets it anyway. Then you leave. Farmhouses are traps. You don't stay. The shooter pauses at the threshold, looks back one more time and mutters, "He didn't say flash." It's all he says. All he needs to say. And you realise something cruel. He's not trying to convince you. He's trying to convince himself. You keep walking. Because in this war, friendly fire isn't a mistake. It's just another kind of bullet. And lies? They're just what you tell yourself so you can keep aiming straight. Nobody tells you what happens when a rendezvous goes wrong. They just say, "Rally here." Draw a little X on a map. Circle it. Hand it to you like it's a promise. But promises don't mean much when you're walking through mud with blood in your boots and dead men in your rear view. Your rendezvous was supposed to happen 2 hours ago. 2 ridges back, near a barn with a red roof. Only the roof wasn't red. It was gone. Blown out. Still smoking. So now you're improvising. Again. You, Shadow, and the 4 others move east through the trees. One guy, Parks, is limping hard. Took shrapnel from the farmhouse, small stuff in the calf. You won't admit it hurts, but it's slowing him down. You adjust the pace. You don't like it, but you do it. Because nobody gets left behind. Not yet. You reach a fork in the woods. An old cart path splits off right and disappears into thicker brush. Left leads downhill, wider trail, riskier. Shadow points right. You nod. The others follow. Gets quiet fast. No wind, no birds. Just the crunch of boots on wet leaves and that strange hum the world makes when it's holding its breath. You stop suddenly. Hand up. Everyone freezes. You kneel, pick something out of the dirt. A torn patch. Screaming eagle. Yours. Dropped on purpose. Direction marker. Someone from your unit was here. Recently, you signal we're on the right track. Morale ticks up just a fraction. Not much, just enough to stand up straighter. You keep moving. The trail tightens. Thorns on both sides, no room to run, only crawl. You feel your pulse in your throat. Then a smell hits you. Smoke. And something else. Meat. Burnt. You round the bend and find the fire pit. Still warm, coals hissing, tin cans scattered, a boot, torn, empty. And 4 bodies in American gear. You kneel, check the tags. One is Sergeant Willows. Was supposed to lead your sector's drop. His mouth is open, like he was about to say something. Rifle still clutched in both hands. His chest has a fist-sized hole through it. No sign of a fight. No spent casings. No blood trails. No struggle. Execution. You don't say it out loud, you don't have to. The others see it too. Parks throws up behind a tree. Shadow walks the perimeter, finds 2 shell casings. German. Rendezvous, all right. Just not the one you wanted. You collect ammo, maps, anything useful. Then you burn the rest. Not out of disrespect. Out of mercy. No one gets paraded through enemy lines. Not like this. The smoke rises fast. Dark. Signal or mistake. Doesn't matter. You're exposed now. You move. Quick. Silent. South now. You need new ground. New options. You cross a small creek. Boots soaked again. You don't care. Comfort's not real out here. Only function. Then you hear it. A cough. Not one of yours. Shadow gestures, points. Small ravine up ahead. Someone's hiding there. You and another guy, Hughes, flank left. You step slow, breath held, rifle up. Then, flash, someone calls. You freeze. It's the right word, but the voice is cracked, weak. You answer. Thunder. And a figure rises from behind a log. Mud-caked, pale. It's Murphy, from your squad. Left behind during the drop. He looks half dead, covered in blood that might not all be his. One eye swollen shut. He limps over and grabs your shoulder. Am I late? He croaks. You don't laugh. Not because it isn't funny, because your throat won't let you. You help him sit. Give him water. Shadow checks his pulse. Weak, but there. He says he saw the rendezvous. He says he was there. He says he played dead under a pile of bodies while the Germans laughed and lit cigarettes. He says they shot the wounded last. You don't ask how long he lay there. You don't need to. You just nod. Because now he's back. And now you're 7 again. The fire's still visible in the distance. Someone saw it, you're sure. You don't have time to mourn or fix anything. So you do what paratroopers do best. You keep moving. One broken body at a time. The first time you hear it, you freeze. It's soft, barely a sound. Like someone stepping on a twig but sharper, cleaner, with intent behind it. A metallic click. Everyone stops. No one breathes. It came from Hughes. He's mid-step, foot hovering an inch off the ground, frozen in mid-air like time paused just for him. He whispers, "Mine." And the world turns to glass. Nobody moves. Shadow crouches low, eyes locked on Hughes's boot. You do the same. The others fan out, slow and silent, watching, waiting. You count 6 guys holding their breath, one holding his future. Hughes is shaking. He tries to smile. Well, damn. Nobody laughs. Shadow speaks first. Heel or toe? Hughes swallows. Toe, front half. Shadow closes his eyes, thinks. Runs through every briefing you ever got, every manual, every horror story. He nods once. Could be pressure, could be tilt, might be an S-mine. Someone whispers, "Bouncing Betty." You all know what that means? Not instant death. Worse. Shrapnel in a 4-foot radius, designed to hit groin, stomach, face. You look at Hughes. He's 22, maybe. Joined up right after high school. Said something about wanting to see Europe. He's seeing it. And now it might see the inside of him. You scan the ground. No signs. No warning stakes. No pattern. The worst kind of minefield. Improvised. Dropped by retreating Germans in places no one expects. Rural trails, forest clearings, even under corpses. You see a flash of colour in the dirt, a shard of metal not buried deep, just under a thin layer of leaves. You're all standing in it. Hughes shifts slightly. The click deepens. He freezes again. Shadow's already in motion. He drops his pack, pulls a knife, moves low and slow, army crawl style, eyes scanning the soil like it's talking to him. You crouch beside him, start checking too. The others spread out, covering. Every step is calculated. One guy starts whispering a prayer. Another takes off his helmet, presses it against his chest. Murphy closes his eyes. Hughes doesn't blink. Shadow reaches the mine. It's a circular steel lid, classic S-mine, spring-loaded, pressure-based. He looks up. We dig it out, slow, no sharp pressure. You help. Fingers numb from nerves, dirt under every nail. You scrape with your knife, expose the sides. A spider crawls out of the soil and runs across your hand. You don't even flinch. Finally, the housing's clear. Shadow pulls a thin length of cord from his vest, begins wrapping it carefully, looping around the striker cap. Sweat beads on his brow, his breath shallow. "Okay," he says quietly. "Hughes, when I count to 3, shift your weight back, no jump, just lean." Hughes nods. You brace him by the shoulders. "Ready?" Shadow says. Hughes breathes in through his nose. 1. You hold your breath. 2. His hands grip your wrists. 3. He leans. And nothing. No boom. No flash. No scream. Just the sound of him collapsing backward into your arms. Shadow cuts the striker line and unseats the cap. The mine is neutralized. Harmless. For now. You lay Hughes down gently. He's laughing. Hysterically. Quiet but wild. Then he starts crying. No one tells him to stop. You all back away, scanning the ground like it's lava. You mark the mines you can see. Step carefully around what you can't. It takes another hour to clear 10 feet. Eventually you reach solid ground. Everyone collapses. Shadow pulls out a cigarette, offers it to Hughes. He lights it with shaky fingers. Murphy pats his back. "You're gonna owe us beers for the rest of your life." "Hell," Hughes says, exhaling, "I'll buy you a bar." You all chuckle. Not because it's funny, because it didn't end with pieces of Hughes hanging in trees. This time, you rest for a minute, just a minute, but your body doesn't relax. Because if there's one mine, there are more. Always more. That's the thing with war. The traps don't end. They just get quieter. You see it from the ridge. Quiet. Tucked in behind 2 sycamores, a squat stone farmhouse with a blue door and a red chimney. Looks harmless. Looks like a painting. That's how you know it's trouble. Nothing out here is just a house. Shadow raises his binoculars, scans slowly. Shutters closed, no movement, no clothesline, chimney's cold. You ask. Wires? He nods. Yeah, antenna line, thin one, radio maybe. You both look at each other. That changes things. Could be resistance. Could be Germans. Could be a trap. You call the squad forward. Hughes limps into place. Still alive. Still shaken. But moving. Murphy volunteers to circle left. Parks takes right. You and Shadow go centre. Everyone's quiet now. No jokes, no breathing unless absolutely necessary. As you get closer, the blue door becomes clearer. Peeling paint scuffed at the bottom like someone kicked it open once, or tried to. No bullet holes, no blood, just silence. You reach the outer wall, stone, thick, old. Shadow gives the signal, you stack right. Murphy reaches the back. 3 taps on the wall, his cue. Then 1 tap. All clear. You nod and kick the door. It flies inward. You sweep left, Shadow right. The room is cold, empty. Dust swirls in the light, cutting through the cracks in the boarded-up windows. A single chair, a knocked-over crate. Floorboards that creak under your weight like they're warning you not to breathe too loud. You clear 2 rooms, 1 more to go. The back room. The door's ajar. You nudge it open with your barrel. Inside, a table, a lantern, a cot, and a man. Middle-aged, civilian clothes, French, thin, shaking. Hands up. He speaks fast. Pas de soldats, pas d'Allemands, je suis sûr. Shadow translates. No soldiers, no Germans, just him. You don't lower your rifle. Not yet. The man points to a box on the table. You open it. Radio, military grade, American frequency bands. You look back at the man. He's sweating now, fear or guilt, you can't tell which. Shadow questions him, voice low, calm, precise. The man says he's been helping the resistance. Says the Germans moved out last night. Says they used the house as a relay point. Says he was forced. You've heard it before. Sometimes it's true. Sometimes it's not. Then he reaches into his coat. You react fast. Gun up, finger on the trigger. He freezes, and slowly pulls out a dog tag. Not his. American. Engraved. Stevens. W. Your blood chills. Stevens was in your unit. Dropped in with you. Vanished the first night? Shadow snatches the tag, checks it. Real? You ask where he got it. The man looks at the floor. Says nothing. You ask again. Shadow translates. The man looks up, then nods toward the barn behind the house. You don't wait. You move. 3 across the yard, rifles up. Door splintered and hanging loose. You go in first. It stinks. Old hay, animal waste, something else. You find Stevens in the corner. Tied to a beam, mouth taped shut, eyes swollen, barely conscious. Still breathing. You cut him loose. His arms fall limp. You cradle his head. He whispers something. You catch 2 words. Didn't talk. And he passes out. You lift him. Carry him out like a sack of something more than bones. Shadow goes back to the Frenchman. You watch from the door as he says something in low, even tones. The man nods, sits down in the chair. Doesn't speak. Just stares at the floor, waiting for whatever comes next. You don't shoot him. Not because he doesn't deserve it. Because maybe you're not the judge today. Stevens is alive. That's enough. For now. You set up camp behind the house. Stevens sleeps, bandaged, breathing steady now. You watch the trees, the field, the blue door. The others settle in, quiet, tired. Parks hums something low under his breath. Murphy cleans his rifle with a cloth that hasn't been clean in 2 days. You look at Shadow. He's not sleeping either. He's watching the door. Like it might open again. Like it might matter. The orders were simple. Reach the checkpoint by 0 o'clock. Don't be seen. Don't be late. But out here, simple means something else. It means walk through hell wearing a blindfold. The checkpoint's a farmhouse outside the village of Licorde, supposedly secure, supposedly friendly, supposedly manned by American recon teams waiting to extract scattered paratroopers. You've heard supposedly too many times this week. Still, you've got no choice. Stevens is conscious again. Barely. He can't walk on his own, so you rig a stretcher from 2 rifles and a torn blanket. Murphy and Parks carry him. No complaints, not even under the weight. You head out just after dusk. The sky is dark purple. No moon, just clouds like bruises smeared across the stars. Perfect for ghosts. Which is what you've become. You avoid the main roads. Move through pastures, dry creeks, narrow game trails. Every barn you pass looks like it could house Salvation or a firing squad. At 22:40 you reach the edge of a road. Checkpoints across the field, maybe 300 yards. You see the building, 2 stories, brick, chimney, just like the intel said. One problem. There's a light on. Not a lot, just a sliver in a top floor window, flickering. Candlelight maybe, or a lantern. You crouch in the ditch and watch. No movement, no patrols. No signs of life, but no signs of death either. Shadow gestures. You wait. 5 minutes. 10. Still nothing. Then a flash. Upstairs window. Twice. Pause. Then once. You squint. It's Morse. 2 short, 1 long. F. Your signal. You respond with the same. A new light answers back. 1 long, 2 short. R. Rendezvous confirmed. You exhale. But you don't relax. Shadow speaks first. Still could be a trap. You nod. He's right. You split the squad. Murphy and Hughes go wide, flanking the north side. Shadow and Parks approach from the rear. You and Stevens go straight in. You carry him on your back now, step by step. His weight feels heavier than before, not from size, from what it costs to keep him alive. You reach the door. Knock once. Pause. Then twice. The door creaks open. A man peers out. Helmet. American. Rifle slung. He stares at you, then at Stevens. Password? He says. You answer. Victory is the only way home. He nods. Get in. Fast. You do. The rest file in behind you within the next 2 minutes. The building's not much. Just a shell with a radio set and 2 nervous GIs holding down the fort. There's food, cold beans, stale crackers, a few cots, medical supplies. To you, it's heaven. Even if it might burn down in 10 minutes. One of the soldiers, a corporal named Reeves, starts asking for names, units, injuries. Shadow gives the report. You sit on the floor, Stephen still half slumped against your chest. The radio buzzes. They're trying to reach Division Command. No word yet. Reeves tells you to wait. Help is coming, they think. Then something flickers outside the window. Movement. Fast. Shadow's already up. You're at the window too. Dark shapes. Low. Crawling. Too low to be friendly? Parks is at the back door. Hughes and Murphy have weapons raised. You scan the field. One figure breaks into a sprint. No call, no flash, no code. You don't hesitate. 3 rounds. He drops. Someone yells in German. Then the firefight begins. Glass shatters. Bullets crack past your head. Shadow returns fire from the 2nd floor. Parks drags the radio to the stairwell, shielding it with his own body. Stevens pulls a pistol from his belt. Barely has the strength to raise it, but his eyes are clear. You hold the front door. Reeves screams into the mic. Incoming, coordinates 69 Alpha Charlie. Hostiles, German patrol at least a dozen. No answer. The line is static. Shadow calls out. Right flank, 4 of them. You switch windows. 1 man. You fire once. Gone. The air smells like cordite and desperation. Hughes reloads, hand shaking. Murphy is hit in the shoulder but stays upright. You see 2 Germans break for the side door. Parks stops them both with clean headshots. Then silence. Real silence. Not just a pause. Like the forest itself is stunned. Then the radio crackles. Copy last. Reinforcements inbound. 5 mics out. Reeves drops the mic and grins like a man who just saw God. You slump back against the wall, rifle across your chest. Shadow leans against the windowsill, breathing hard. You check Stevens, still breathing. You made it. Checkpoint midnight held. Barely. But out here, barely is victory. Dawn comes slow. Not golden, not triumphant. Just grey. A tired sky blinking open over a tired patch of earth, littered with spent casings, splintered beams, and the smell of blood that still lingers in the back of your throat. The firefight ended 2 hours ago. The reinforcements arrived 10 minutes too late. And now it's quiet again. Too quiet. You sit with your back against the wall, rifle laid across your knees like a sleeping dog. Shadows nearby, cleaning blood off his knife with the edge of his sleeve. Not his blood. You're pretty sure. Parks is outside, standing by the tree line. He hasn't said much. Just watching the wind move through the grass, like it might tell him something useful. Murphy's not here. Neither is Hughes. Stevens is unconscious again, but alive. Pulse steady, breath shallow but rhythmic. The medics gave him morphine, set a drip, wrapped what they could. They said he has a chance. But Murphy didn't get one. Neither did Hughes. He helped carry them out after the shooting stopped. Murphy took a round to the chest. Clean through, but he bled out fast. Hughes was hit in the neck. He tried to talk, tried to say something. All you caught was "tell my..." before the rest turned to gargle. Now they're both wrapped in blankets near the back wall, identified, tagged, ready for someone in a clean uniform to cart them home in a wooden box. If there's anything left, you should say something. A prayer, a word, anything, but nothing comes out. Your throat's full of gravel and regret. Shadow finally speaks. "I was going to write Hughes's mum." You look at him. "She used to send cookies," he says. "Real ones. Mailed them to our barracks in Georgia. He'd always share." He looks down at his boots. One of them has a bloodstain across the toe. It's not his. He said if he died, I had to write her. Tell her he went fast. You nod slowly. "You will?" Shadow shrugs. "I don't write so good." "You talk fine." He smiles. Just a little. Then it's gone. Outside, Parks kneels beside Murphy's body. He stays there for a long time. Not crying, not praying, just being there. Like if he leaves too soon, Murphy might vanish completely. One of the medics walks over to you, says a name, repeats it. You don't answer at first. Then you realise he's reading from a list. "Private Jacobs?" You nod. He checks a clipboard. You're on the manifest. Airlift in 20 heading to Field Command. You're being reassigned. You blink at him. Reassigned. Like this was just a job you finished. Like Murphy and Hughes were part of some spreadsheet somewhere. Shadow's next. Then Parks. Then Stevens if he makes it. They're breaking up your squad. Scattering you. War doesn't care who you bonded with. It moves you like chess pieces until someone knocks the whole board over. You walk outside. Fresh air, if you can call it that. There's a tree near the back, branches low, leaves still dripping from last night's rain. You stare at it. 'Cause it's easier than looking at the bodies. A sergeant nearby starts calling names, one by one. Roll call. Parks? Here. Jacobs? Yeah. Stevens? One medic answers. Stable, sedated. Hughes? Silence. Again. Hughes? Still nothing. The sergeant pauses, then nods. Write something down. Then, Murphy. Silence again. Your hands curl into fists, because the dead don't answer roll call. But they should. You speak up, quietly. He was here. The sergeant looks over. You meet his eyes, unflinching. He was here, you say again. Did everything right. He nods once, doesn't write anything this time. Just moves on to the next name. You turn and walk. Not because you're ordered to, because it hurts too much to stay still. Because if you stand in one place too long, the ghosts catch up. You feel them behind you. You carry them with you. And you will. Every mile. Every deployment. Every night you try to sleep. Murphy's laugh. Hughes' crooked grin. The faces of men who deserved more than a number on a clipboard. You don't know where they'll bury them. But you'll remember where they fell. And who they were. Because someone has to. There's something about walking 5 miles with nothing in front of you but trees, mud, and the sound of your own boots. It empties you. Not like rest, not like peace. Like being drained. Like every step is wringing what's left of your soul into the dirt behind you. You were dropped in France with a mission. Now, you're just moving. Orders came from command just after dawn. Regroup with 500 second elements pushing towards Saint-Côme-du-Mont. Secure roadways, expect resistance. No map, no guide. Just a vague arrow on a radio and a long stretch of open land where friends go missing and enemies don't need names. It's you, Shadow, and Parks now. Stevens is gone, airlifted, alive. That's what matters. The medic said he might make it back to England, maybe even the States. A home, if you can remember what that means. You walk in silence for the first mile. No one's ready to talk. The path dips into a low ravine. Water seeps up from the ground, soaking your socks. You don't bother complaining. At this point, dry as a fairy tale. Feet are just meat with nerves. Second mile. A burnt truck. German. Still smouldering. Shell casings scattered. No bodies. You don't stop. There's nothing to see and too much to feel. Mile 3 is when the wind changes. Cold, eastward, smells like sulphur and something worse. You check your gear again. Rifle, sidearm, spare rounds, 2 grenades, 1 chocolate bar. That chocolate bar has been in your pocket since the jump. Feels wrong to eat it. Like opening it would be admitting the end's near. You think about Murphy. You think about Hughes. You try not to, but the mind has its own agenda. You picture the way Hughes flinched whenever the shelling started, the way Murphy would pretend not to notice just to give him cover. You picture Murphy's face as he bled out beside you, and you wonder, did they die for something? Or did they just die? Shadow finally breaks the silence. How many do you think are left? You look over. From our unit? He nods. You shrug. Half? Less. You both go quiet again. Parks walks ahead, leading. He doesn't speak at all anymore unless he has to. You don't blame him. He's seen too many people vanish to waste words on those still here. Mile 4 brings you to a crossroads, literally. A wooden post points in 3 directions. The signs are in French, painted over in German, and now splattered with American graffiti. No one owns this place. They just pass through with guns. You take the road east, toward the smoke. That's always the direction. If something's burning, someone's alive near it, or dead. Either way, it's a lead. You stop to rest beside a low wall that used to belong to something. Maybe a house. Maybe a barn. Parks finally speaks. I keep hearing footsteps at night. You and Shadow look at him. He's serious. Not ours. Not animals, just footsteps. He pauses, like someone's following. Shadow asks, "You ever see them?" Park shakes his head. That's the worst part. I want to, even if it's bad, even if it's... He doesn't finish. You know what he means. There are worse things than seeing ghosts. Like hearing them. Like carrying them. Shadow hands him half a ration. Dried biscuits. No flavour, but they crunch like you're chewing on the past. You eat. Slowly. The food doesn't help. Just keeps your stomach from complaining. You stand again. 5th mile. The tree's thin. Ahead, a long field. Abandoned trench line. Sandbags mostly caved in. A few helmets, 1 boot. Shadow finds a pack. Still zipped. He opens it. Inside letters. 5 or 6, handwritten, addressed to someone named Lila. No last name, just Lila. Parks takes one, reads it silently, hands it to you. It's simple. I miss your laugh. I miss your pancakes. I miss your smell. If I make it out of this, I'll never leave your side again. You fold it. Put it back. Someone wrote that with every hope in the world, and then probably died screaming in this field. You keep moving. The checkpoint is 2 miles further, but the last 5 feel like a lifetime. Not because of distance, because of what's not there. No gunfire, no patrols, no civilians, just silence. The kind you only find in places that were loud yesterday. As you walk, you wonder something strange. Is the war following you? Or are you following it? Because wherever you go, the empty comes after. And somehow, it always feels like it was waiting. You learn fast out here. Loud means chaos. But silence? Silence means someone's planning it. You're a mile out from the roadblock checkpoint. Shadow checked his watch, still ticking somehow. 0800 hours. The sun's finally up, but it doesn't help. Morning light in France doesn't feel like safety. It just makes it easier to see where the last guy died. Park stops walking. Just stops. You feel it too. No birds, no wind, no insects, not even the creak of branches overhead. The world goes mute like someone slammed the lid on a piano mid-note. Shadow raises his fist. All 3 of you drop instantly. Knees in the dirt, eyes up. You're in a narrow trench now, barely a ditch really, but just deep enough to be cover. Beyond it, a flat field. Too flat, too empty. That's what gives it away. No debris, no wreckage, no tracks. Not even an abandoned canteen. Nobody walks through a war zone without dropping something. Unless they never walked out. You scan the tree line ahead. That's where they'd be. If it were you, that's where you set up. He's facing slope, perfect line of fire, 24 yards of open ground between you and them. Classic kill zone. Shadow leans close. Whispers. They want us to cross it. You nod. It's a funnel. And you're the meat. Parks looks at you both. Doesn't speak. Just mouths the word. Flank. You nod again. Split up. Standard triangle. You go left. Shadow goes right. Park stays put. Eyes forward. Rifle raised. You move low. Crawling through wet grass. Belly flat. Elbows grinding against rocks and glass. The stink of old blood is caked into soil like perfume gone rotten. You take 10 minutes to cover 30 feet. You don't breathe right the whole time. Then you see it. Not movement. Not a flash. Just a piece of camouflage netting not quite aligned with the tree bark. Too square. Too neat. You squint. Helmet. Barely visible under the netting, rifle tucked in, still as a statue. They're good. But not perfect. Shadow's already in position. You see the glint of his scope. He's got eyes on a second. That means there's more. Always more. You tap your helmet twice. A signal. Shadow answers with 1. Then Parks. 3 of you. 3 of them? No. Too easy. You wait. And wait. Then you see the flicker of a scope reflection. 4th man. Farther back. Sniper. That's your target. You raise your rifle. Line up the shot. Breathe in. Out. You don't fire. Yet. Wait for Shadow. Wait for the rhythm. Then 3 shots. Yours. Shadow's. Parks. Almost simultaneous. 3 silhouettes drop. 1 staggers. Another lifts a rifle. You adjust. Fire again. He falls back. The field is still silent. Too silent. Then whistles. From the rear, 2, short, sharp, a signal. Ambush didn't fail. It started. Figures move from the left ridge. 6, maybe more. Staggered advance. Professional. Shadow's already falling back. Parks calls out, "Contact left." You dive behind a rotted fence post, bullets ripping past. Someone yells in German. Close. You toss a frag over the fence, no second thoughts. Boom. Screams, then silence again. Shadow reaches you. 10 o'clock. At least 2 squads. You nod. Look around. Only one exit. A narrow drainage ditch that runs along the field's edge. Overgrown. Tight. But it curves back toward the road checkpoint. Parks throws smoke. Grey plumes rise fast. Enough to buy you 15 seconds. You run. Low. Fast. Every step in the ditch sounds like thunder in your ears. Shadow covers the rear. Parks pulls ahead. More gunfire. Close now. One round catches your shoulder strap, rips it, doesn't pierce. You don't stop. The ditch widens near a collapsed wall. You jump it, hit the dirt hard. Roll, up, running again. Then you see it. The checkpoint. 2 sandbag walls, a .30 cal nest. 2 Americans yelling, waving you in. You shout, "Don't shoot!" They wave you faster. Shadow's the last to jump the barrier. And just in time. The ridge behind you lights up with fire. Tracer rounds tear the sky. The .30 cal answers back. You drop beside Parks, hands shaking, breathing wild. Shadow hits the ground next to you, chest heaving. You're alive. Barely. Again. One of the checkpoint soldiers walks over, wide-eyed. Jesus, what was that? Shadow just looks up and mutters, "A damn greeting party." They set up suppressing fire while you regroup. Medics check your arms, your ribs. The graze is shallow, but it burns like a promise. You sit there for a long time, not because you need rest, because silence almost killed you. And this time, noise means you made it out. Water. You don't think about it until your tongue feels like burlap and your throat cracks when you try to swallow, until the canteen's bone dry and you realise it's been hours, maybe a day since you drank anything that didn't taste like rust or regret. You're behind the checkpoint now, moving again. Command wants a new push, another recon sweep past the riverbend, same forest, same war, different corpses. They gave you 20 minutes to regroup. You use 7 to wrap Shadow's arm, a clean graze but still bleeding. 2 minutes to restock ammo, 4 full mags now, 1 grenade. You used 1 minute to eat half a cracker. And the rest? The rest you spent crouched by a rusted water barrel, watching the way Parks cupped water like it was gold. "You ever notice how it's sweet," he muttered, "when you're this dry?" You didn't answer. You just drank. Cold, clear, perfect. The kind of drink you remember your whole life. Even if your life only lasts another hour. They only let you fill 1 canteen. Supplies low, resupply convoy was hit 2 nights ago. Shadow jokes. 1 hour of water, 2 days of thirst. But nobody laughs. Because it's not a joke. It's math. You cross a field at dawn. Your boots sink into wet soil. Your mouth's dry again somehow, even though you just drank. You ration sips like they're ammo. Parks finishes his canteen by noon. Doesn't tell anyone. You only notice when he starts licking the back of his hand. Shadow catches on and gives him half of his. Doesn't say anything, just hands it over. The sun climbs higher. You're moving slow now. It's not the terrain. It's the weight, not your gear, the mental weight. The ache behind your eyes. The invisible sack of grief and exhaustion dragging behind you like a dead comrade. You find a stream by mid-afternoon. It looks clean. It sounds clean. That's the trick. Shadow kneels down, scoops some into his hand, sniffs it, tastes it, waits. No cramps, no coughing. He nods. Permission granted. You drink. Not fast, just steady. It's warm. Tastes like iron and algae. But it's wet, and that's all that matters. You rinse your face, wash your hands, watch blood spiral down your fingers and vanish into the current. You don't remember getting cut. The river doesn't care. It just takes. You refill your canteens. Shadow marks the stream on the scrap of map. Too good to be real, Park says. You all agree. So, you don't stay. Just move. Back into the trees. 2 hours later, the thirst comes back. Worse now. Because you remember the water. Remember how good it felt. It makes the absence sharper. Every sound becomes suspicious. Every cough could give you away. Then the worst happens. Gunfire. Distant. But moving toward you. Shadow signals. Down. You dive. You wait. A squad moves through the trees ahead, German, 7 of them. Laughing. Not hunting, just passing through. You don't engage. You don't breathe. They vanish after 5 minutes. You stay down for 20 more. Because that's how you survive. Still, the fear makes your mouth dry all over again. You reach into your pack. Canteen's half full. You think about saving it, then drink anyway. Warm now. Doesn't matter. You offer it to Parks. He waves you off. You offer it to Shadow. He takes a sip, passes it back. That's the cycle out here. Drink, share, move. Try not to die before the next water source. You wonder how many men have died because they were too polite to drink more than their share. You wonder if you'll be one of them. By sundown, your canteen's empty again. The map shows a village ahead, ruins really. Might have a well. Might have an ambush. You go anyway. 'Cause thirst is louder than fear. You enter the edge of the town just as the sky turns bruised. Stone buildings, burned out carts, bullet holes in every wall. It smells like ash and rot. And silence. Again. Park spots the well first. Stone ring, broken pulley, bucket still intact. He lowers it slow. The rope creaks. Clunk. Water. He draws it up. It's murky. Smells faintly metallic. But none of you hesitate. You drink. And it's the best thing you've tasted in days. Even better than the last stream. Because it means you can go further. 1 more mile. 1 more day. 1 more chapter. Shadow leans back against the stone and sighs. Still think it's sweet, he says. You nod. Then pour a little water into the dirt. For Murphy. For Hughes. For the ones who got too thirsty too far from hope. The ground drinks it without complaint. Same as it does everything else. The sound starts like a memory. Low, heavy, distant. A hum under the bones. At first you think it's your own pulse. That thudding behind your ears that never quite goes away. Then you feel it in your boots, and you know. Bombers. Lots of them. You freeze mid-step. Shadow stops beside you, head tilted skyward. Parks drops to a knee and pulls his helmet tighter like it'll help. You all look up. Through a break in the clouds, dark grey hulks crawling across the sky. Not 1 or 2. Dozens. Formation so tight you could walk across them if you had wings. American B-17S. Maybe some Liberators. Each one hauling enough death to flatten a village. Shadow whispers. Someone's having a bad day. You don't answer. Because someone's about to die by the hundreds. Could be Germans. Could be French. Could be someone who just picked the wrong house to sleep in. That's the thing about bombers, they don't check names. They check coordinates. And you're close. Too close. The rumble gets louder. The kind of loud that gets into your teeth, your spine, your thoughts. You drop to the dirt instinctively. All 3 of you. Cover your heads, even though you are not the target. Not yet. You pray the tail gunners don't mistake movement for hostiles. You hear the release before you see it. That high metal clatter sound as bomb bay doors open. Then you see them, falling. Little dots, hundreds, thousands. They whistle, then roar, and the sky splits open. The earth heaves, the air collapses. The first impact is far, but the ground still kicks under you like a living thing. You feel your ribs shake, your helmet rattles. The horizon lights up in flashes, orange, red, smoke. You've seen artillery. You've heard tank shells. But this is scale. This is God learning how to breathe fire. Shadow grabs your arm, yells something, but you can't hear him. Not over this. Not over the end of the world. He points behind you. Smoke. Closer than it should be. You grab your gear and run. All three of you. No order. No command. Just flight. The forest is ahead. You dive through it like it's water. Tree limbs whip your face. Roots trip you. Doesn't matter. Run. The sky screams. Bombs keep falling. They're hitting the next town over. Saint-Côme-du-Mont, maybe, or what's left of it. You wonder if anyone there even knew they were about to become a crater. You wonder if anyone still knows your name. Then the wind hits. Hot. Violent. Smoke and dirt and pressure all at once. Park stumbles. You grab him. Pull him upright. Shadow leads. You don't stop until the trees thicken, until the sound starts to fade, until all that's left is the faint percussion of distance, then silence. Not the ambush kind, the aftermath kind. You drop to one knee, breathing hard, sweat in your eyes, dust in your mouth, the taste of iron and carbon in the air. Shadow finally speaks. Guess that was the morning news. You glance at him. His face is pale. A thin cut above his eyebrow bleeds down his cheek, unnoticed. He looks back up, still watching the sky. One last bomber passes overhead, straggling. Its engines sputter. Wounded. Smoke trailing from one wing. You all watch it go, like it might fall. But it doesn't. Just disappears into cloud. Then nothing. Parks finally says, "You ever think about how many people are down there, in that target zone?" You nod slowly. "Yeah." "And you ever think how we're lucky it wasn't us?" "No." You say, "Why not?" You stare at him. Because it still could be. The thought lingers in the silence. You reach into your pack, pull out the last piece of chocolate, break it in 3. Nobody says anything. Just eats. Quiet. Grateful. A little ashamed. The wind changes again. Cooler this time. Smells like ash and old prayers. You don't know if the bombing did its job. You don't even know if it was the job. But you know the sky's not safe. Not anymore. And down here, with the roots and the mud and the ghosts, it never was. The map says one thing. The ground says something else. That's the first lesson you learn after a few days behind enemy lines. Ink on paper doesn't account for what gets blown up, burned down, or buried. You're holding a torn quarter of a field map. It shows a road that's no longer there and a bridge that used to matter. According to this rectangle of lies, you're about 2 kilometres north of an old church supposed to be a way station for Allied units. But you haven't seen a steeple in 3 hours. Just craters and graves. Too many graves. Some fresh, some not. Most unmarked. Your walking point now, shadows behind you. Parks is last. You step carefully. The field you're crossing was once a vineyard. The posts are still there, snapped, blackened, half buried in earth. The vines are long gone. In their place, crosses. Hundreds of them. All shapes. Some carved. Some crooked. Some just sticks jammed into mud, tied with scraps of uniform. You stop, because you recognise one. The tags hanging from it glint in the low light. You crouch, Wipe the dirt away. Private Cole Jr., 502nd PIR. You didn't know him, but he was yours. Paratrooper. Jumped the same night you did. Probably landed wrong. Probably never even got a shot off. Shadow kneels beside you, places a hand on the cross, says nothing. Neither do you. Park stands back, hands in his pockets, head down. You move on, because you have to. Because if you stop at every grave, you'll never leave France. You pass more markers, some with helmets on top, some with boots left beside them, like the dead might still need them where they're going. You wonder who buried them. Locals? Other GIs? Or did someone dig their own hole and die in it? You follow the map another half-kilometre. It's lying again. There's no road, just rubble. A farmhouse burned down to its bones. A wheelbarrow turned over full of ashen bones. You find another body. German this time. Shot twice in the back. Still clutching a field phone. Probably tried to run. Didn't make it. Parks checks the body. Finds a photo in the man's pocket. A woman and 2 kids. Smiling. Parks stares at it for a long time. Then hands it to you. You look. They're happy. He's dead. You want to feel something. You don't. Just empty. Like the rest of the world burned out already and forgot to tell you. You put the photo back. Then keep walking. The sun is high now, sharp. Shadows stretch thin, too thin. You check the map again. Says there's a creek up ahead. This time it's right. Miracle. You drop to your knees and splash water over your face. Cold. Real. You drink. Then freeze. Because there's something on the far bank. White fabric. Sticking out of the reeds. You wade across. Careful. Pull it free. It's a medic's kit. Blood-soaked. Next to it, 2 bodies. Both American. One with a Red Cross armband, the other face down, helmet cracked open like an egg. You check for ID. One's name is Martinez, the other has no tags. Stolen. Lost. You dig a shallow grave. Takes half an hour. Longer with bare hands. Shadow helps, so does Parks. No words. Just sweat and dirt and a prayer no one says out loud. You mark it with a stick. Don't even bother with a name. Just leave Martinez's tag tied around it. Maybe someone will find it. Maybe not. But at least he's not in the mud anymore. You take out the map again. Circle the creek. Mark the grave. Hand it to Shadow. He adds it to his journal. Yeah! He keeps one. Draws every grave he finds. You've seen it. No names. Just crosses, dates, coordinates. Page after page. Quiet record of the people war forgets. You ask him why he does it. He just shrugs. Someone should remember where they were, he says. That's all. You start moving again. Toward another road that may not exist. Across another field that smells like death. You fold the map. It's wrong again, but you carry it anyway. Because even lies give you direction, and the dead don't complain when you step over them. You find it in your pocket like it was waiting there the whole time. 1 cigarette. Crushed. Bent. Filter split. But somehow still intact. You pull it out like it's sacred. Shadow sees it. Raises an eyebrow. You holding out on me? You offer it without hesitation. He takes it. Rolls it between his fingers. Then hands it back. Nah, he says. You earned it. Parks doesn't say anything, just watches. The wind's still for once. No mortar crumps, no gunfire in the distance, no distant hum of engines or boots in the brush. Just silence. And that cigarette. You pull out a book of matches that's down to its last one. Figures. You strike it once. It flares, sputters, then holds. The flame smells like home, like wood stoves and birthdays and the last day of school. You light the end. It sizzles. Burns clean. The first drag hits your lungs like gasoline. And it feels amazing. You sit down on a rock. Shadow leans against a tree. Parks drops into the grass like he just ran a marathon barefoot. And for a moment, you're not in France. Not in war. You're just three guys sharing silence. Watching the smoke curl into the air like it's trying to escape too. You think they're still fighting back home? Parks asks. Over what? You say. He shrugs. Everything. Politics, money, who kissed whose girl. Shadow chuckles. Probably. Think they'll remember us? He means more than your family. He means everyone back home. Safe. Untouched. You don't answer right away. You finish the cigarette first. Ash it on your boot. Then look out over the valley ahead. It doesn't matter, you say. Parks frowns. Why not? Because we remember us? That lands hard. Shadow nods, slow. Parks looks down. And for a few seconds the weight lifts. Then comes back heavier. Because you do remember. Every face. Every laugh. Every body you didn't get to bury. You still see Hughes in your dreams. Still hear Murphy say, I got left. You got right. Still feel the jerk of the chute when you first jumped into this nightmare. And the thing is, you want to remember, because forgetting means they died twice. The breeze kicks up, carries the last of the smoke away. You stand. Mission's not over. You've got coordinates. 2 clicks east. An old artillery nest the brass once cleared before the armour comes through. You're not demolition experts, but you've got grenades, rifles and hate. That's enough. You move out, step by step. Parks is humming again. Some old tune you don't recognise. Something low and sad and almost pretty. Shadow checks the tree line every few minutes, still focused, always watching. You walk behind them, eyes forward. Mind somewhere else. The cigarette's gone, but the taste still clings to your lips. And you think, if that was the last one, if that was the last anything, it was worth it. Not because it helped, but because it reminded you what normal felt like, even for just a second. You're not going to make it through this war with your mind intact. Nobody does. But maybe you'll make it through with your memory. And a few pieces of your soul still smouldering. Not from fire, but from the last good thing you had before the next bad one comes. The map says it's here. East Ridge, overlooking the river bend. Coordinates scratched into the margin by some staff officer who probably hasn't touched dirt in weeks. They call it the Nest. An old German artillery post. Supposed to be abandoned. Supposed to be cleared days ago. Supposed to. But you've been in this war long enough to know that supposed to is a fairy tale. Shadow crouches beside you, eyes scanning the tree line through his scope. Parks lies prone, chewing the inside of his cheek. It's quiet, but no one's calm. You're all watching the same thing. A concrete bunker half buried in the hillside. Steel door, slotted windows, camouflage netting still hanging limp from the roof like a dead spiderweb. Parks mutters, looks empty. Shadow shakes his head. Empty things don't make my skin crawl. You agree? There's a smell on the wind. Oil, burned cloth, old blood, the kind that clings to metal and memory. You check your rifle, again. You've checked it 3 times in 10 minutes, but muscle memory doesn't care. It just wants something to do while your heart preps for the next punch. Shadow points. There, movement. You follow his hand. Small, fast, not a soldier. A bird. Crow, maybe. It lands on the roof of the bunker and hops once. Then vanishes. You wait. 1 more beat. 2. Then flash. Muzzle, top slit, right side. Just for a second. Long enough to know. They're still inside. You hit the dirt. Contact, Shadow says flatly. Gunfire erupts. Not much, just enough. Parks crawls to cover behind a broken wall. You belly crawl to a downed tree, bullets cracking overhead like angry wasps. Shadow flanks right. Standard maneuver. Except there's nothing standard about this place. You're pinned. You need to move. You motion to Park smoke out left side on your count. 3, 2, 1. He throws. Canister rolls, pops. Thick grey plume spreads fast. You sprint through it. Eyes stinging, coughing. You make it to the north side of the hill, a low rise that gives just enough angle to see the back of the nest. No door there. Just a stack of crates, sandbags, old ammo belts coiled like snakes. Shadow meets you at the ridge. His face is tight, focused. We go in, you ask. He nods. We clear it. You check your grenades. 2 left. You signal to Parks. He nods from cover. It's go time. Shadow moves first. You follow. Up the hill, fast and low. No alarms, no more fire. That's what makes it worse. The door creaks open. Not locked, not booby-trapped. Just open. You take point. Rifle raised. Dark inside. Cool. Damp. The air smells like mould and cordite. First room's empty. Just racks, rusted tools, a half-eaten can of beans. Second room. Isn't. You freeze in the doorway. 3 Germans, dead. 1 slumped in a chair, 2 on the floor, all shot clean, double tap to the chest, 1 to the head. Execution style. Shadow steps in behind you. Looks like they got cleared already. You shake your head. No way! Not by us? Parks enters, eyes scanning. You check the uniforms. Not recent. Not rotting either. Shot. Maybe a day ago. Then you see it. Graffiti on the back wall. Scrawled in English. We were here first. Underneath it, names. 5 of them. None you recognise. Rogues. Another paratrooper squad? Maybe. Or maybe it's something worse. Parks finds the comms unit, still working. Frequency set to Allied command, but the mic's melted, looks like it was torched with a lighter. Sabotage. You feel it in your gut. This wasn't a battle. This was a message. Shadow finds a diary in one of the lockers. German script, neat. He flips to the last page. You ask what it says. He reads aloud, slow. They came at night, no sound, no warning. We thought they were Americans. Then they started shooting. They didn't speak. They didn't stop. They left nothing behind but silence. He closes the book. You all go quiet. Parks breaks it. Ghosts? Shadow shrugs. You walk out of the bunker slowly. Something's off. Something else is out here. But for now, the nest is empty. Yours. You radio in the clear. Command says, good work. You don't answer. You just sit on the steps of the bunker, looking at that open field. Sun's starting to go down. And you realise the scariest thing isn't walking into a place full of enemies. It's walking into a place where they should be and they're already dead. Because someone faster, colder and far less forgiving got there first. It takes a lot to fall asleep in war. But sometimes it takes even more to stay awake. You've made it through another fight, another checkpoint, another patch of land nobody will remember after the maps are redrawn. The nest is yours now, a bunker full of ghosts and silence, the perfect place to sleep, or die. Shadow checks the entrance twice before he settles. Park stacks crates by the front hatch like it'll stop more than a grenade. You find a corner, sit, then lie down, back to the wall, rifle across your chest. It's dark in here, real dark. No windows, just a lantern you barely lit. Low flame, soft yellow glow that makes your shadows look like strangers. Your body screams for rest. Your brain doesn't trust it. Parks lays down nearby, doesn't speak. He's not humming tonight. Even Shadow's quiet. He's usually the last one to sleep, the one who watches your backs. But not now, not tonight. You'll lie there, not quite awake, not quite asleep. Just there. You try to count the days. Can't. They blend. Too many dawns and not enough dreams. You close your eyes. The silence stretches. Then your mind starts moving, fast. Faces. Murphy. Hughes. Stephen's pale and bleeding on that barn floor. The Frenchman who held his dog tags. The sniper in the trees. The German with the photo of his kids. The kid in your own mirror. You see all of them, one after the other. You don't dream. You remember. That's worse. You shift on the floor. Your hip grinds against cold concrete. Your fingers twitch like they're still holding a trigger. Your ears ring with the echo of bombs from yesterday. And then, finally, sleep takes you. Hard. Fast. Like passing out more than drifting off. Your last thought before the dark? Don't wake up screaming. You don't. But you don't wake up rested either. You wake up to a sound. Soft. Wrong. Metal. You sit up fast. Shadow's already awake. Eyes wide. Hand on his knife. Parks is still sleeping, breathing steady. You and Shadow lock eyes. There it is again. A clink. Then silence. Then scratch. Something at the hatch. You move slow, quiet. Press your back to the wall beside the door. Hand on your rifle. You nod to Shadow. He moves to the other side. Then nothing. Long silence. Shadow opens the hatch fast. You spin around, rifle raised. Nothing. No one. Just open air. Trees. Dirt. The faintest mist in the grass. Park stirs behind you. What's going on? You don't answer. You step outside. Look around. And then you see it. A small pile of rocks. Stacked. Deliberate. Not there before. A mark. A sign. Someone was here. Close. You walk back inside. Secure the hatch. Nobody speaks. Sleep. Gone. Trust. Shaking. The kind of fear that doesn't come from bullets or bombs, it comes from the unknown. Someone walked past you while you slept. Could have killed you. Didn't. And that's the worst part. They wanted you to know they could have. You sit there, back against the wall. Shadow says, "Shall we sleep in shifts?" You nod, but none of you do. You just sit there, watching the dark. Waiting. Breathing shallow. Trying not to think about what's out there. And wondering if tonight was a warning. Or a favour. They said wait here. They said hold the bunker until contact was made. They said reinforcements in 12 hours. That was 2 days ago. The radio still works, kind of. Static, mostly. Occasionally a squawk of English followed by French and German layered on top like bad dreams stacking in your ears. You've tried calling it in. Shadow even memorised the call sign. He sits by the unit now, hand on the dial like it's a lifeline. Keeps clicking through frequencies like one will finally open a door back home. Parks paces, packs, unpacks, rechecks ammo, organises rations you don't have. You've stopped asking what time it is. Time doesn't live here anymore. Only the waiting. And the wait. This bunker isn't safe, you'll know it. It's quiet, but too quiet, like something's watching from just beyond the trees, like the wind forgot how to move. Parks finally snaps. Forget this. We move. You don't argue. You agree. You're sitting ducks. Shadow turns off the radio, doesn't even sigh, just nods. Nothing out there for us anyway. You gear up. Same gear you've been wearing for a week now. Boots that feel fused to your feet. Webbing frayed from crawling, fighting, running. You shoulder your rifle, it feels heavier today. Parks takes point. Shadow guards the rear. You head out, back into the woods, east, toward the village marked on the last reliable map. If anyone's alive, it's there. If not, then at least you'll die moving. The woods are darker than before. Or maybe it's your eyes, tired red, stretched thin from staring too long at shadows that might have blinked. You walk for half an hour. No gunfire, no birds. Just silence and branches and a creeping sense of wrong. Then you find the truck. Abandoned. American. Tyres slashed. Hood up. Flies buzzing over a blood smear across the windshield. No bodies. No gear. Just the aftermath. Shadow circles it. Recent. You check the engine block. Still warm. You scan the tree line. Nothing. Not even movement. Then something catches your eye. Carved into the tree trunk nearby. A word. Run. You don't ask who wrote it. You don't want to know what they were running from. You move faster now. No one says it aloud, but you all feel it. Something's not right. Something's been following you. Not footsteps. Not sound. Just presence. That invisible weight pushing on your lungs, warning you without language that this path leads somewhere dark. Parks turns and says it first. We're not getting out, are we? You don't answer, because he's not really asking. He's just saying it out loud for the first time. You reach the village at dusk, or what's left of it. Buildings levelled, one steeple still standing. Bell cracked down the middle like a broken tooth. There's no one. No animals, no carts, no bodies. Just absence. The kind that echoes. Parks whispers. They told us to hold that bunker. You nod. And they never planned to send anyone, did they? You kneel beside what used to be a doorway. Burned into the threshold. An imprint. A handprint. Charred. Finger spread wide like whoever touched it left a final message. Here. I died here. Shadow sits on the church steps. Takes off his helmet. He looks old now. Older than he did this morning. We're on our own. That's all he says. It's not bitterness. It's just fact. And the scariest part? You're okay with it. Not because it's right, but because you already knew. War teaches you fast. No one's coming. Not when it matters. Not when you're bleeding out in a trench, whispering names you barely remember. Not when you're begging a radio to make a sound besides static. Not when your soul is tired and your boots are heavier than your gun. You sit beside Shadow. Parks joins. 3 of you. Alone but not. You watch the sunset. Doesn't feel like a new day's coming. Just the slow death of the one you survived. Shadow reaches into his pack. Pulls out a crumpled envelope. He doesn't open it. Just holds it. Looks at it. Then says, she's probably married by now. No one speaks. Because the war didn't just take your brothers. It took your time. Your chances. Your after. You lean back. And wait. For nothing. Because at least now, you know nothing's coming. And somehow, that helps. The first shot came before the sun. A crack. sharp, dry, and distant. Then 3 more. You were already awake. All of you were. No one sleeps properly out here anymore. You might close your eyes, but your ears stay open. Your hands still grip your rifle like it's part of your body. Dreams? Those don't visit this place. Not unless they wear boots and carry rifles. You froze. Shadow froze. Parks sat up, blinking, then reached for his helmet. Another shot. Closer. Then silence. You all looked at each other. No one said it, but everyone knew. Something's here. And whoever's firing, they're not friendly. The church had no walls left, just foundation stones and half a skeleton of timber. You took cover in what used to be the nave behind scorched pews. Shadow took the bell tower. Parks dug in near the rubble pile where the apse used to be. You waited. Then it came. Figures. 5 or 6, creeping from the edge of the tree line, uniforms dark, unfamiliar. Not German, not American. Could have been deserters. Could have been mercs. Could have been something worse. They moved like they weren't afraid of anything. That's what scared you most. Shadow clicked twice over the comma signal. Eyes on, hold fire. They got closer. One had a scoped rifle. Another carried a pack heavy enough to be explosives. Parks whispered, "What's the play?" You didn't answer. Because you didn't have one. 3 of you, 6 of them, maybe more in the woods. You were outnumbered, outgunned, and out of options. But you weren't out yet. They came within 40 yards. That's when Shadow fired. 1 shot, clean, quiet. Dropped the rear man. Then everything went loud. You opened up in short bursts, aiming centre mass. Parks screamed and lobbed a grenade behind a low wall, and it lit up the night like a second sunrise. Return fire came fast. Too fast. Bullets chewed through the pews, kicked up stone, splintered timber. One zipped past your ear. You felt the heat of it, slicing the air like it had your name carved into it. Another cracked into the stone 2 inches above Shadow's perch. He ducked, reloaded, came back up, and took out another mid-sprint. 4 left. Maybe more still moving behind them. Parks yelled, "Left side 2 flanking!" You pivoted, caught one between the ribs. The other hit Parks in the leg. He went down, screaming through gritted teeth. Shadow dropped the shooter with 2 quick taps, but the damage was done. You crawled to Parks, dragging him back behind a broken archway. Blood soaked his pants. Not an artery, you hoped. He stared at you, face twisted in pain. "I'm not dying here," he muttered. "Then don't," you said. You handed him your sidearm. He nodded, took it with trembling fingers and pointed it toward the smoke. You took a breath. Another. Then moved back into position. Only 1 shooter left out there. Maybe 2. Shadow signalled hand flat, point left. You shifted left. Shadow moved right. The last one tried to fall back. Didn't make it. Shadow flanked. Shot once. The man dropped like a stone. Then, silence again. Not the peace kind. The exhausted, blood in the dirt kind. You didn't lower your rifle. You waited 10 minutes before moving. Cleared the field. 6 bodies. Unmarked uniforms. No tags. No insignia. Just soldiers. Just like you, but not on your side. Parks was still alive. Pale. Sweating. You patched him. Gave him morphine. He passed out smiling. Shadow sat down next to a corpse and just stared at it. You joined him. "Mercs?" you asked. Shadow nodded slowly. "Could be. Who hired them? Does it matter?" You didn't answer. Because no, it didn't. What mattered was that they were dead and you weren't. You checked your mags, down to your last. Shadow had 2. Parks was empty. You stripped what you could from the bodies. Food, water, ammo. They had enough to keep you going. Just You made camp inside the shell of the church, one fire. Small, low, the kind of flame that doesn't invite more bullets. Shadow cooked the meat. Canned stuff. Tasted like ash, but it was warm. You took the first watch. Listened to the trees. Every creak made you twitch. Every breath felt like it might be the last quiet one. And still, you didn't regret staying. Because now, no matter what comes tomorrow, you fought back. You stood your ground. You lived through something no one will ever believe. And when Park stirred in his sleep and mumbled, "Did we win?" you said, "We're still here, aren't we?" Because sometimes that's enough. But there was something else. Shadow said it when the fire burned down to embers. It's not just us anymore. You looked at him. He nodded toward the tree line. I saw someone. Who? He shook his head. Didn't get a good look, but I know when I'm being watched. You stayed awake the rest of the night. And sure enough, just before sunrise movement, a flicker, a shape, far off. Too far to shoot, too far to ID. Gone before you could raise your rifle. The rifle. Shadow was right. Someone's out there, and they're not done. You find it in your pack when you're looking for more gauze. A folded piece of paper, crumpled, yellowed around the edges. Your handwriting. You forgot it was even there. You wrote it the night before the jump. Back in England. Back when everything still felt like a story you were telling someone else. You unfold it. Read it slow. It starts. Dear Mum. That's as far as you get before your chest tightens. Shadow sees you reading and looks away, respectful. He doesn't ask. Parks is asleep, his legs swollen. Not infected, not yet, but close. He's breathing steady, muttering something in his sleep. A name, maybe. You keep reading. You don't remember writing it. But it's yours. You talked about the food, the camp, the way the rain always smelled like home. You even joked, said something about beating the Krauts and being home in time for Christmas. It's July now. You fold the letter and put it in your chest pocket, close to your heart. Not for luck, for weight. Because sometimes you need to feel something that isn't metal or blood or wood splinters digging into your palm. You need to remember that someone wanted you back. Shadow reaches into his own jacket. He pulls out a letter. Folded. Soft from the handling. I wrote this to my sister, he says, eyes still on the horizon. Didn't have the nerve to send it. Figured I'd wait till I had something good to write about. You ask what it says. He shrugs. Stuff. Mostly stupid stuff. Told her I was fine, lied a lot. You nod. You understand. The war makes liars of everyone. You lie to your family, to your brothers in arms, to yourself. I'll be okay. We're winning. It won't be long now. Shadow says, I think she knows, even if she never reads it. You sit with that for a long time. There's a stillness in the bunker. Not peace, not quiet. Just absence. Eventually, Park stirs, wakes up. His face is pale, but he's upright, drinking water, eating crackers. You tell him that's a good sign. He asks what you're holding. You hand him the letter. He reads it, smiles with half his mouth. You gonna send it? You shake your head. I think I already did, just never mailed it. He nods like that makes sense. Because it does. Later that afternoon you find a body near the edge of the road, half buried in the brush. American. ID tag. Beckett. LJ. Private. 101st. You didn't know him, but he was one of yours. In his jacket pocket, a letter. Unfinished. Dirt-stained. The ink's run in places, but you can read enough. Tell her I'm okay. Tell her I saw the ocean from the plane. Tell her... That's where it stops. You read it out loud. Parks closes his eyes while you do. Shadow stands with his back turned. You fold the letter, place it back in the man's pocket, zip it shut. He doesn't need a grave. Not yet. Just the letter. You all agree to leave it. Let it stay with him. It's the only thing he had that still knew his name. That night you gather wood for a fire. Small, controlled, not for warmth, for light. You sit around it and take turns reading what you remember. Not what's on the letters, or what you meant to say. Parks talks about his little sister, the way she'd wait at the mailbox every Tuesday hoping for a letter he never sent. He says if he gets back he's writing her every day. Shadow talks about his dog. Says it was the only thing that understood him, even when he didn't understand himself. Name was Rosie, he says, old as dirt. She'd wait by the gate when I came home from school. You talk about the sky, the way it looked the night before the jump, how clear it was, how everyone was laughing too loud because they were scared and didn't know what else to do. How you were scared too, still are. But you kept going, because that's what you do. Shadow says, if I don't make it, I hope he doesn't cry. Park says, if I don't make it, I hope they don't forget. You say, if I don't make it, I hope someone reads this, even if it's not sent, even if it's just found in a pocket somewhere in France years from now by someone who never knew your name. You hope they understand that you were real, that you loved someone, that you missed home, that you thought about them every damn minute you were bleeding into the soil. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. Later, after the fire's down to red coals and soft shadows, you write a new one. Another letter. This one's not for your mum. Not for the folks back home. This one's to someone who won't read it. You don't even sign your name. You just write, if you find me, I hope this explains it. I didn't want to die, but I chose this. I chose to jump. I chose to stay. I chose to fight. Not because I wanted medals, not because I thought I'd make it, but because there were people behind me, and I'd rather they live. If you're reading this, maybe you're one of them. That's enough for me. You fold it. Slide it into the lining of your helmet. Not out of superstition. Out of honesty. It's the only truth you can carry. You lie down near the fire. Boots on, rifle beside you. The smoke curls up into the sky and disappears into the stars. Somewhere out there a family is still waiting, or a sister, a mother, a lover. You don't know if you'll ever see them again, but they'll know you remembered, because the letter, even if unsent, is proof. Dawn in Normandy doesn't look like a sunrise. It looks like fog bleeding into ruin. The light doesn't spill, it creeps. Low, pale, quiet, like even the sun isn't sure it wants to wake up here. You're already on your feet. You didn't sleep. None of you did. Parks tried, gave up. Now he's back upright, limping slightly but walking, determined, silent. Shadow's alert. Of course he is. He hasn't closed his eyes in 3 days, not really. He rests with his back to the wall, hand always close to steel. You've never seen him fully relax. You're not sure he remembers how. You step into the fog like stepping through a veil. Damp air clings to your skin. Cold, but not freezing the kind that seeps into your bones and makes you think of basements and cellars and everything below ground. The three of you move out in a wedge. Tight. Standard formation. Close, but not too close. Weapons up. Ears sharp. The morning's too quiet. The kind of quiet you feel behind your teeth. The kind that only happens before something awful. You're supposed to be heading to the rally point last known Allied position 3 clicks north, somewhere beyond the old canal bridge. But the roads are gone. The landmarks are rubble, and the signs, when you see them, are in pieces or painted over with symbols that don't mean anything anymore. So now you trust instinct. And instinct says patrol the perimeter before you move. Trust no corner. Believe no silence. The village you stayed in last night is half buried in its own bones. Doors blown in, rooftops collapsed, windows smashed like someone hated the glass itself. Nothing lives here anymore. You pass a burned-out tank, American, still smoking around the turret. No bodies. Just ash. Parks coughs into his sleeve. His breath clouds in the chill. He scans every corner, every window, every angle. Too quiet, he mutters. Shadow just grunts. He agrees. You round a corner and see a dog. Starving. Ribs sharp under skin like knives under canvas. It watches you from the wreck of a storefront. Doesn't bark. Doesn't move. You lower your rifle. Parks offers half a cracker. The dog doesn't come closer. It just turns and disappears into the mist. Shadow says what you're all thinking. Smart dog. You move on. You find remnants of a checkpoint sandbag spilled like guts, crates smashed, helmets discarded like trash. No sign of a fight. Just collapse. 2nd Street, the one that used to lead to the town hall, ends in a crater. You cross it one at a time. Parks goes first, slow, limping. Shadow covers. Then you. When you're halfway across, the world explodes. Sniper fire. One shot. Close. You drop into the dirt. Shadow's yelling. Parks is down again. You crawl to cover. Shouting. No words, just instinct. Shadow's returning fire. Short, tight burst toward the far roofline. You drag Parks behind a wall. His legs bleeding again. Same place. You press down. He bites down on his fist to keep from screaming. Sniper fires again. Misses. Brick chips into your face. Stings. Draws blood. Shadow moves. Flanks left. Disappears around the building's edge. You stay with Parks. Hold the pressure. Watch the roofline. Count the seconds. Then gunfire. Short. Precise. Then silence. Then Shadow's voice. Clear. You wait. Then move. The sniper's dead. Young. Barely shaving. German uniform, but his boots are American. Deserter? Captured gear? No time to guess. You take his scope. Add it to your pack. You check the rooftop. Inside the sniper's coat you find a photo. A woman and a boy, torn, folded. Someone loved him. Someone still waiting for him. Someone who doesn't know. You leave it there. There's no time for ceremony. Parks is still alive. Barely. Shadow says, "We gotta move. He won't make it another night here." You nod. And that's when you hear it. Engines. Far off. Low. Tanks. American. Or pretending to be. Reinforcements. Or another trick. You signal. Flare gun up. Red burst into the dawn. It arcs high. A lonely scream of colour against the grey. You all hold your breath. Engines stop. Then start again toward you. You raise your weapons but don't move. Minutes pass like years. Then the first Sherman rounds the bend. Clean. Friendly. The barrel painted with a white star. The commander stands up. American. Helmet. Fat cigar. Shouts. "Jesus Christ, you boys look like hell." Shadow grins. You almost laugh. Almost. Parks is loaded into the tank's hull. Medics work fast. They ask you questions, but your answers are slow, sticky, like your brain is still on patrol. You ride on the back with Shadow. The tank rolls forward. You pass the buildings you saw in the dark. They don't look better in daylight, just more dead. You wonder how many of these tanks will make it. How many of these men will still be breathing tomorrow? But right now, in this moment, you're not alone. You're not out yet. And that's enough. You lean back. Let the wind cut through your uniform. Let the machine hum beneath your boots. Let yourself believe even for a minute that maybe, just maybe, you're getting out of this alive. You pull the letter from your pocket, the one you never sent. You don't read it, you just hold it. And for the first time in days, you let yourself hope. It's not over just because you're moving again. The tank you're riding on is loud, thick-skinned and ugly, but it's safe. Or at least safer than dirt. Shadow sits across from you on the rear deck, legs hanging off the edge like a kid on a summer dock. Parks is inside the hull, patched up, medic hovering over him like a mother hen with morphine. The rest of the convoy is small. 3 Shermans, 1 half-track, 2 jeeps, 10 soldiers who look fresh boots still clean, helmets too tight. You envy them for a second, then pity them the next. They're the next you. They don't know it yet. The column winds north through the countryside, past shattered barns, fields cratered like moons, fences that lead to nowhere. Every few miles the tanks stop. Check for mines, check for ambushes, check for anything that doesn't belong, which in this part of France is just about everything. You keep your eyes on the tree lines. You know how quickly things go from quiet to dead. It was only 12 hours ago you were dragging Parks behind rubble while bullets whined past your ears. You haven't forgotten. Not even close. An hour in, you pass a broken wagon. Civilian. 3 bodies under a tarp, feet sticking out. The driver's cap still rests on the bench, dusted in ash. The tank commander doesn't stop. Nobody does. It's not cruel. It's just protocol now. You can't help the dead. You only survive them. At the next rest, you sit under an apple tree. Shadow joins you, tosses a can of beans your way, cold, doesn't matter. You eat in silence. Parks leans against the side of the tank, pale but upright. Tastes like garbage, he mutters. You smile, because the complaint means he's alive. Shadow reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small silver cross. You've never seen it before. He rolls it between his fingers, like he's weighing it. You religious, you ask? He shrugs. Used to be. Thought about it again when Murphy died. You remember Murphy. Rifle jammed during a breach. Took 2 in the chest. Bled out whispering someone's name. Could have been his wife. Could have been his dog. Not sure I believe anymore, Shadow says, but I still carry it. Habit, I guess. You nod. Understand completely. It's not about faith, not here. Not anymore. It's about weight. It's about carrying something. Even if it's just a memory. A jeep radio crackles. Enemy movement spotted near the next village. No contact yet, but close. The commander barks orders. Engines fire up. You pack fast. You climb back onto the tank and grip the rail tight. Your rifle's across your chest, loaded, ready. Your heart? Still somewhere between the last firefight and the next prayer. The village comes into view after an hour, or what's left of it. 1 main street. A few stone homes roofless. A collapsed schoolhouse. And a bell tower still standing like a stubborn tooth. The tanks roll in first. You hop down before they fully stop, sweep wide. Shadow on your right. Parks hobbling behind. You check every door, every alley, every window. Clear. Too clear. Even Shadow notices it. This place should be crawling, he mutters. You nod. Something's off. The silence isn't just quiet. It's vacant. You feel it behind your eyes. That sense that something was here just moments ago, that whatever you were supposed to find already left, or is waiting. Inside the schoolhouse, you find maps on the wall, children's drawings, crayons melted to the floor from some long ago blast. Parks picks one up, a red flower drawn with 7 crooked petals. Someone drew this and thought it'd survive, he says. You don't have the heart to tell him it didn't. Then the first shot comes. Not at you. At the tank. Boom! Anti-tank round from the trees. Hits the front armour, glances off, but hard enough to shake the ground. Everyone scatters. Soldiers scramble, yelling, positions called out. Gunfire rips through the square like teeth-tearing linen. You dive behind a cart, return fire. Shadow's already moving, always moving. Parks hits the dirt and fires from a prone angle, ignoring the blood that starts leaking again from his leg. 2 enemy positions. Snipers, maybe. Light machine gun in the upper floor of the bakery. You toss a smoke. Shadow flanks. He's gone 5 seconds. 6. 7. Then gunfire. Then silence. He returns, wiping blood from his knife. Thumbs up. Machine guns down. But the snipers, still out there. One pops around into the side of the Sherman, sparks fly. The tank commander climbs up and opens fire with the .50 cal. You move toward the edge of town. Low, fast. Spot the muzzle flash. Fire once, twice. Someone screams. Then nothing. The calm after a kill. When it's over, you sit on the steps of the church. Sweating. Heart trying to catch up to your skin. Park sits beside you, bandage unwrapping again. Shadow stands near the bell tower, still, silent. The village is yours now, or what's left of it. The sun finally climbs over the trees, burns the fog away. You can see your hands again, your boots, your reflection in a puddle that's half blood, half water. You look older than yesterday, because you are. Later, one of the fresh soldiers walks over, young, maybe 19. He says, "I heard what you guys did, back in the South Ridge. Took out a nest, saved the column." You nod. Say nothing. He smiles nervously. "We're supposed to be writing home soon. Command's giving us the okay. What should I tell my folks?" You stare at him. Really look. Not at his face, but at the space behind his eyes. He still has hope in there. You envy him. You fear for him. You say, "Tell them the truth." What truth? That you're scared. That it's not what you thought. That you want to come home. That you still laugh when someone farts at the worst moment. That you cried when your friend died. That it's okay to be human. He nods, like he understands. But you know he won't. Not until he has to dig a grave with his bare hands. Not until he pulls a photo from someone else's pocket and whispers an apology for not being faster. Not until the bullet that misses him hits someone he cares about. Then he'll know. Just like you did. Just like Parks did. Just like Shadow did. That night you sit on the roof of a house with no back wall. Watch the stars come out one by one. You try to count them, but lose track at 7. 7 like the petals on the flower. 7 like the number of times you should have died. You think about that, and still here you are, breathing, between bullet holes and belief. The next morning, you move out before the sun touches the rooftops. The village is quiet again. The tank crews are staying behind, repairing tread damage, waiting for fuel. But you're moving. Shadow says the road north is finally open. The map says there's a rail crossing, maybe a forward operating post. Maybe just more smoke and bones. Either way, Command wants eyes on it. They don't care that you haven't slept. They don't care that Park's bandage is red again. They just need someone to go. And you're someone. You travel on foot. 3 of you as always. 2 rifles, 1 sidearm, a dwindling supply of rations, and more silence than anyone should ever carry. The countryside is too still. Too clean. You keep expecting the world to explode again. It doesn't. Just whispers. Wind through the grass. Birds that stop singing when you come near. A wire fence that runs along the road, sagging under the weight of its own rust. The kind of quiet that only happens in places abandoned by God. 3 hours in, you find a wreck. Truck. Civilian. Still smoking. Still warm. Not burned. Cut. Tyre slashed. Engine stripped. Inside nothing. Not even blood. Just the leftover breath of something wrong. Shadow checks the brush. Tracks. Heavy boots. 4, maybe 5. Recent. Not Germans. Not Americans. Someone else. Raiders? Parks asks. Shadow shrugs. Worse. Opportunists. You hate that word. Opportunists. People who crawl out of holes when empires fall. People who wear no flag but smell blood like wolves. They're not in it for politics. They're in it for survival, which makes them the most dangerous kind of soldier. You keep moving. No roads now, just dirt paths and broken fence lines. The forest presses close. Thick trees, dead underbrush. You step over a collapsed scarecrow face eaten by time, arms still spread like it's trying to stop you. You wish it could, because every step feels heavier. Not physically, spiritually. You're walking into something. You feel it, like air before a storm. Like the pause in a heartbeat. One step from nowhere. Shadow raises his fist. Stops. You drop low. Parks kneels beside a fallen log, breathing hard. Up ahead an opening. Clearing. Rail line crossing through it like a scar on the land. And in the centre? An outpost. At least, what's left of it. 3 concrete structures. Low, flat, scorched. 1 flagpole bare. No smoke. No sound. You scope it. No movement. No guards. Just 1 dead tree leaning over the wire like it's watching the place die. Shadow speaks quietly. Could be empty. You nod. Could be bait. He nods back. Either way, you have to check. You approach slow, silent. No birds, no breeze. Just the crunch of boots on gravel and the low hiss of blood in your ears. You cross the rail line. The wood ties are blackened. Scorched in places, some snapped. Like someone tried to destroy the track and gave up. Parks points to the structure on the right. Garage, you enter first. Nothing. Just oil drums, ripped tarps, a workbench with old tools still stained red. Could be rust. Could be something worse. Second structure barracks. The kind of concrete box they'd build in a hurry when men needed somewhere to bleed and sleep. Inside, bodies. 3. 1 American, 2 unknowns. The American's dog tags are missing. The other 2? Faceless, literally. Torn open, burned. One's hand is still clutching a flare gun. No shells left. You all go still. Parks whispers, "What happened here?" Shadow replies without looking. Doesn't matter. You all know what he means. There's no help here. Only warnings. You find the radio in the 3rd building. Dead. No power. Wires cut. Looks recent. But someone left something behind. In the corner behind a tip desk. A notebook. You flip through it. Coordinates. Call signs. Notes written in 2 different hands. The last page says only this: "We are not alone. Do not stay." You reread it twice. Then hand it to Shadow. He doesn't speak. Just tucks it in his vest. You leave the outpost fast. No rest. No smoke. No photos. Some ghosts want to be left alone. Back in the trees, you double back to the south ridge. Shadow takes point again. You hear something up ahead, low rustling. Not wind. You raise your rifle. He raises a hand. Then you see them. Figures. 3. Moving through the mist. Not soldiers. Civilians. 2 men, 1 girl. Thin, tired, scared. They freeze when they see you. 1 man raises his hands. The girl clutches a doll made of rags and hope. You lower your rifle. Shadow speaks in French, soft. They answer, refugees. Been walking for 2 days. They saw the outpost. Didn't stop. Smart. They ask if there's food. You have none to spare, but you give them water. Shadow gives the girl a piece of candy he's carried since day 1. The look on her face, you'll never forget it. Like she remembered how to smile. Even for just a second. They thank you, move on, disappear. And you wonder if that's what you are now. Not soldiers. Just ghosts in uniform passing through stories that won't be told. You reach the crossroads by dusk. There's a sign, freshly painted, wood, slanted. It says, "To home," and beneath it, in smaller writing, "If you make it." You all stand there for a long time, staring at the words. No one laughs, no one speaks, 'cause it's true. You're 1 step from nowhere, and home? That's just a word until you're standing on the porch again. Until someone says your name and you believe it. Until the war lets go of your spine. Until the weight in your chest stops feeling normal. You walk on. Because what else can you do? You're not heroes, not legends. Just tired souls on tired legs with tired hearts. Still breathing, still moving, still here. You made it to the end. Not just of a story, but of his story. The paratrooper who didn't have a name. Because he could have been anyone. Could have been you. Could have been your grandfather. Could have been someone whose photo sits in a frame on a quiet mantel, untouched for decades. His boots walked through a war few could imagine. His breath lived between explosions. His last 24 hours were never quiet, but somehow we tell them like whispers. Because maybe that's the only way to understand them. In the end, he wasn't a legend. He was a man. He carried letters he never mailed. He saw friends die before their last joke landed. He held a rifle in one hand and a memory in the other. And somehow he kept going. Not because he had to, but because someone had to. And maybe now, as you drift into sleep, that story echoes in your chest. Not like a bang, but like a breath. Before you go, if this story moved you, if you want to hear more voices from the past, take a moment to subscribe. It helps this channel reach more people, more hearts, and keep these stories, these memories alive. Leave a comment. Share your thoughts. Tell us who you're thinking of tonight. Until next time, rest easy, sleep deep, and remember, not all ghosts haunt. Some just wait to be remembered.